Here at the Voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, after a 3-2 win over the Predators on Saturday night. Coming out of the break, after the game, Robert Thomas says sometimes it's a little sloppy coming out of the break. What'd you like about this team in this win?
Well, you know what? They took advantage of a Predators team that traveled before Christmas and then had to travel the day of, because you're not allowed to fly out on the 26th. So Nashville had to fly in the morning of the game, practice here, have their morning skate after 3 days off, and then play. That's a lot. I think the Blues came out with the right energy, like a home team should, and took the lead and played really well. So I liked a lot of that. The decision to start Joel Hofer, third straight time they've started him on that game after the Christmas holiday, second straight one against Nashville, and he's got a save percentage over .940 now in those 3 games. It's a decision that they said, we've got good history here, we're going to go with it, and you put all that together, and you got to love the result, because that was against a team that was tied with you points-wise in the standings. They've got a couple games in hand on you. You move back to 500 on home ice, and now you have a chance tomorrow night against Buffalo to make it 500 overall.
A Christmas present for Blues fans as Jimmy Snuggerud and Jordan Kyrou get back in this lineup. What kind of spark do they bring to that offense?
Well, you notice they didn't get on the score sheet, but the way the rest of the roster was shifted down. You know, when you're talking about Jimmy Snuggerud starting on a third line, you know, and what that did, to me, as much as helpful as getting it back in there was who stayed in, you know, with Stenberg and Berggren staying in the lineup, despite those guys being healthy. But you saw the scoring chances by Jordan Kyrou, especially in the second period. They've got to respect the passing. I mean, the pass that Jimmy Snuggerud had to Alexei Toropchenko, then Saros made a couple of huge saves on there. You see that extra skill. That extra skill they've got to be more respectful of. Teams have to guard against, and it just changes some of the game. So, yeah, they didn't get on the score sheet, but it was great to see them back in it.
Seems like the Blues have a really good problem right now, and your backup goalie is playing really, really good hockey. What have you seen from Joel Hofer through this last month or so where he's played really well between the pipes?
Well, you know what? If you go back and you look at, say, the game last night and then Jordan Binnington's previous start down in Tampa, look at the deflected pucks that bounced in, kind of like the one did off of Jost against Hofer in the game last night. And so I think Joel Hofer has benefited from some of those good bounces, but at the same time, he has really been outstanding. He's been square. He's made the key saves. He was outstanding in the final 2 minutes. You go back, and I think his save percentage is right about .920. And I look at save percentage more than goals against. His save percentage is right about .920 since the start of November after a really rocky start to his season. So that's been great. And now, you know, you've got the ability to keep both goaltenders fresh, and it's going to be so important, Jacob, because you've got a lot of games before the Olympic break. We could see one, if not two, of those guys go to the Olympic break, and then the schedule coming out is huge. So keeping these guys fresh. I don't know that you can do it anymore with just a straight starting goaltender playing 60-plus games.
Last thing, how important is it for your playmakers on this team to get going, and how important is Pavel Buchnevich's success on the scoreboard, on the score sheet, in the success of the Blues?
Well, I don't know whether this pressure is fair or unfair. I will tell you this. I think Pavel Buchnevich's impact, like 14 points now in the last, 18 games or something like that, it's massive. It has to be there. It's what you're being paid to do. I had somebody make this comment. I think it's a great one, actually. Like, how many times do we look at a goaltender, a puck goes in, and somebody says, oh, the goalie's got to have that. You know, oh, they're paid to stop the puck. Well, these other guys, they're paid to score. Yeah, you defend your own end, defend the blue line, make smart, but you're also paid to produce. And what we saw in the game against Nashville was the top players playing well defensively against the O'Reilly-Stamkos line, but also producing on the other end. And that has to happen. So it's not just Pavel. I think all those guys in that top 6, and even the top 9. You know, you've got Suter, who battled through getting nicked up in that game. Jimmy Snuggerud's going to have to find more points as he get going. Dvorsky got a point. He's going to need it. Young and old, new and old, however you want to look at it, they've got to get some more production. But if somebody like a Pavel Buchnevich gets on a bit of a heater, it's going to alleviate a lot of pressure through a lot of guys. And it's going to take a lot of pressure off the defense and the goalies, too. So, yeah, I'd say it's a lot.
Voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber. Curbs, thanks for their time.
You got it, Jacob. Thank you.